Hi, my name is Godwin and welcome to Econometrics. Okay, today we shall be talking about why the average cost curve is U-shaped in the short run and in the long run. Okay, so why the average cost curve is U-shaped in the short run and in the long run. Okay, so this particular part of economics gives students problems. Some don't even really know the difference between short run and long run. Alright, so simply, short run is simply a period where at least a factor of production is constant, at least one. Okay, so there might be more than one, and there might just be it might just be one. Okay, so we have four factors of production basically: land, labor, entrepreneur, and capital. Okay, so to further explain what the short run is, because I believe you must have learned that definition somewhere, that short run is a period where at least one factor of production is constant. So what does it really mean? Okay, so let me start an example. There is this guy, Sam. Okay, so Sam bakes cake. Okay, so he has a cake baking enterprise, and then Sam has a particular baking machine. Okay, that produces. Sam has a particular baking machine that produces 50 cakes a day. So with the help of his few laborers as well as the machine, so they are able to produce 50 cakes per day. So now let's assume that someone just calls Sam, okay, and tells Sam that, okay, tomorrow afternoon I'm going to like you to deliver 130 cakes, okay, at my place. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen? Sam maximum capacity, okay, the maximum capacity of his enterprise is just 50 cakes per day, so he can't produce 130 cakes, okay, and simply because he has been limited by the amount of cake he can produce, we simply say that Sam is in the short run. Okay, and in that case, so what made Sam to be in the short run? It is simply his baking machine. He doesn't have more than one. Okay, he has only one, and that one produces 50. So if Sam had had 3, okay, of them, he would have been able to meet up, okay, with the demand. Okay, but now he can't meet up with the demand at all. Okay, so he's just going to politely decline the offer. Okay, so that means Sam is in the short run, simply because one factor of production is constant, which is the baking machine. He can't alter it to produce 130 cakes that the consumer wants. All right, so what then is long run? Long run is a period where all factors of production are variable. All right. So when we talk about variability of factors of production, we are basically talking about variability in demand. Okay. So if demand should increase, the producer can just adjust all of his factors of production to match that demand. And if the demand for the commodity falls, producer can as well adjust every of his factor of production to match the decline in demand. All right. So then, let us use the case of Sam again. Okay, so in this case, this is the second scenario. Sam learned from his previous mistake, and then has invested so much in the cake baking machine. So now he has up to like 20 of them. Okay, he even has a bigger place where he bakes the cake now. Maybe 2, 3, 4 big rooms right now. Okay, and where he does all of his activities. Okay, so in this case, if the customer should come again and say, okay, Sam, I want you to deliver 120 cakes for me, no problem. Sam can just do that. Someone else comes and says, okay, Sam, I want 1,000 cakes tomorrow morning. Oh, fine, Sam can do that. Okay, so on and on like that, simply because whether the demand is high or the demand is low, Sam now has what it takes, okay, to match the demand. So he has more cake baking machines now. He as well as of course, more laborers, more hands, okay, and so on and so forth. So if there is a fall in demand for his products, he could simply just lay off some workers, stop some machines from working, and then continue like that. Okay, so in that particular scenario, we say Sam is in the long run. Okay, so nothing is there is none of the factor of production that is fixed. Okay, so Sam can just change any of them in order to match the changes in demand. So, but I want you guys to note something, which is the fact that a long run right now might become a short run later. So let us assume that the demand for cake suddenly rises to, let's say, Sam becomes very popular. People like his cakes and stuff. People like his cakes and so on and so forth. Then one day someone just places a huge order. Okay, I want 10,000 cake, okay, tomorrow. Okay, so if all of what Sam can produce is simply 9,000, okay, the maximum of 9,000, okay, because of that demand now, Sam is now in the short run again. So what was a long run before is now a short run. All right, so that is simply the difference between long run and short run. So I believe we understand that now. All right, so let's move into today's topic, which is why the average cost why the average cost is U-shaped in the short run and in the long run. All right, so in the short run, okay, let me first explain. When we have U, okay, so this is the U shape, okay, and this is the average cost. Okay, and this is quantity, this is 0. Okay, so as this part, the average cost is falling. At this part, the average cost is constant, and then as this other part, the average cost is increasing. Okay, so this is really the shape of average cost in the long run and the short run. So why is that so? Is there any difference? Okay, in the short run, okay, what is responsible for the U-shaped nature of the average cost is simply the law of variable proportions, which is otherwise known as the law of diminishing returns. Okay, law of diminishing returns. So it's either law of diminishing returns or law of variable proportions. So what does law of diminishing returns says? It simply says that as long as more factor, it simply says that when more and more variable factor of production is continuously added onto a fixed factor, okay, output is going to increase at first. The output is technically total product, okay, it's going to increase at first, then it gets to a stage where it declines. All right, so then what is now the relationship between that and the average and our average cost curve? Okay, so why does that really explain why we have different? Okay, but before that, I'm going to draw a table on the board. Okay, but before that, okay, so I want us to know something that I said the law of diminishing returns is what makes the average cost curve to be U-shaped in the short run. Okay, and it simply said, okay, or it simply says when more of a variable factor of production is added onto a fixed factor. Okay, so that is to tell you that the law of variable proportions does not work in the long run, because in the long run there is no fixed factor. Okay, so it must be something else that is responsible for the U-shaped nature of the long-run average cost curve. Okay, so now let's get back to this. So in order to understand it better, let me just draw a table, and then we talk about the table. We have this table now. Okay, so for this particular question, our capital is okay, no, not capital, land. Land is the fixed factor. So labor, L, is the variable factor. Okay, so when a laborer was used, so 2 laborers, 3 laborers, 4, and then 5 laborers. Okay, and then the total cost. Okay, total cost now is not just the cost of hiring a laborer. It's the cost of everything that is put into production process. Okay, it's 500. Okay, when 1 laborer was used. So for the sake of easy understanding, so I've decided to make the wage that a laborer receives 100, just 100 naira. Okay, so in that case, so when the laborers became 2, we have 600 total, that is plus 100, just making it easier for us to understand. And when the laborers became 3, 700, when the laborers became 4, 800, and when the laborers became 5, so we have 900. All right, so what then do we notice? Okay, so when it was 1 laborer, the total output was 10, okay, which is total product, or Q. So when we have 2 laborers, it is 15. 3 laborers, we have 18. 4 laborers, we have 18. Then 5 laborers, we have 16. A decline in total product. So why is that the case? Why is that the case? It's simply the fact that, okay, our fixed factor is land. All right, good. So when we have 1 laborer on the land, okay, fine. Laborer is producing like 10 bushels of corn. All right, so it makes sense, okay, to have 2 laborers on the farmland. So let's assume that the farmland is around 1 acre, okay, one acre of land. Okay, so it makes sense to employ the other laborer, okay, and that increases the total product to 15. All right, so if we still employ the 3rd laborer, okay, it still makes sense. All right, that still makes sense. Total product can still fall, can still increase. Okay, so the 3rd laborer is employed, and it takes this to 18. All right, then these laborers have now started using the land, okay, optimally. All right, optimally. So with each laborer's portion divided to M and E using it very, very well. So, but then the farm owner decides that this could still be better and decides to hire the fourth laborer. So hiring the fourth laborer still makes the quantity constant, which is at 18, and that simply means that the marginal product of this new laborer is 0. Okay, is not needed on that farmland. Okay, so the farmer should have just hired 3 laborers. Okay, now because it's not everybody that understands the concept of economics, so this farm owner now thinks, let me employ the 5th laborer because let me employ the 5th laborer. So when I do that, this my output should rise. Okay, it's not economics basically. My output should rise. Okay, then he decides to employ the 5th laborer, and then output falls to 16. So what happens when? So this is a case of where we say that too many cooks spoil the broth. Okay, so what's really happened here is these laborers have started to hinder one another. Okay, so we now have too many people on the farmland, and they might just start discussing because there are just too many and they are not so far from each other. So instead of each of them focusing on the job at hand, they might start discussing, they might start gisting away their time, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, output falls. Okay, because they become in one way or the other, they're already becoming hindrance to themselves. All right, but then what happens to total cost? As each laborer is being employed, the total cost keeps rising. All right, so now we will calculate our average cost to see if it's going to denote something like this. All right, so 500 divided by 10, total cost divided by Q, okay, where AC, average cost, is equal to total cost divided by quantity. So AC here, 500 divided by 10 is 50, 600 divided by this is 40, 700 divided by 18 is 39, approximately 39, 800 divided by this is 44, and 900 divided by this is 56. Alright, so average cost reduces up to this point, then it takes off. Okay, so between this output and this output must have been constant at one point, okay, to show the constancy here. And then 44 to 56, which means our average cost is now upward sloping. So the same thing, just one thing, law of variable proportions, causing the average cost to be U-shaped in the short run. Alright, so that's not about short run, that is why we have this in the short run. So now let's talk about the long run. Okay, remember I said long run is simply the period where, it's simply a time, okay, where the producer, when a producer can change, he can adjust the all its factor of production to meet demand. Okay, you can adjust them, okay, to the adjustments in demand for his product or our product. Okay, so in that case, what then do you think, what then do we think is going to be responsible for this shape in the long run? Okay, it is simply returns to scale. Okay, so there's something we call returns to scale, and returns to scale is just telling us the amount of output, okay, that is added to the total output when added or subtracted from the total output when the producer changes all of his factors of production. Okay, because we said in the long run all of the factors of production can be varied. All right, so we now have 3 different types of returns to scale. So the first one is simply increasing returns to scale. Okay, the other one is constant returns to scale, and the third one is diminishing returns to scale. So when we are talking about increasing returns to scale, we are saying that when the producer changes, okay, his inputs in the same proportion, the output changes in a greater proportion. Okay, in simple terms, when the producer decides to double all of his inputs, output is going to increase at a rate that is more than double. Okay, maybe if input doubles by 100%, output then increases by 110, 120, 150, anything greater than 100%. So in that case, we have increasing returns to scale. Okay, so what then happens to the average cost? We are going to get to that in a bit. All right, so we then talk about the constant returns to scale. So constant returns to scale is simply saying that when the producer decides to increase all of his factors of production, is it an increase? Okay, increase or decrease? Okay, so let's just say when the producer decides to change all of his factors of production by the same proportion, okay, output also changes by the same proportion. All right, so that is constant returns to scale. If inputs are doubled, that is, let's assume we have 2 inputs, capital and labor. Okay, so if the both of them are doubled, all right, output increases at a rate that is more than double. So that's what we are saying. Then if the factors of production are also reduced by maybe 50%, output also gets to fall by 50%. So the same thing. All right, then the third part is simply where we have decreasing returns to scale. So decreasing returns to scale is simply saying that, okay, the producer decides to vary all of his inputs, and then the variation that occurs in the total product is actually smaller in terms of proportion than the variation that occurred when all inputs were varied. All right, so that is what we call decreasing returns to scale. So in these three cases, there is one thing that I would really want us to note, which a lot of students don't even pay attention to, or a lot of students do not really know. That in these cases, or in the three of them, total product is increasing. All right, so one might want to think that decreasing returns to scale, or definitely output must be falling. That's not the case. Okay, the case is simply the fact that, okay, total product is increasing, so it could be increasing at a greater rate, okay, which is where we have increasing returns to scale. It could be increasing as the same pace, okay, with how inputs are increasing. That is, it could be changing at the same pace with how inputs are changing. Okay, so total product is still increasing. Then it could be changing less proportionately than the changes in inputs, and in that case, total product is increasing but slowly. All right. So here we go. We have this table for increasing returns to scale. So how do we know that? So we are assuming that we just have two factors of production, labor and capital, and then another assumption is that they cost the same, which is 50 naira. That is labor. The cost of a laborer is 50 naira per hour, and the cost of capital is 50 naira per hour as well. Okay, so and we are using them in the same proportion. Okay, 1, 1, 2, 2, and so on and so forth. So when labor and capital, okay, well, the very first point is where we use 1 unit of labor and 1 unit of capital, and that is we have 2 here. So since we assume 50 naira as the price of the 2, so total cost is 100, that is 50 times 200, and then this output is produced 10. All right, so when we double the use of our inputs and the 2 of them, so we have 4, then the price, since the price of piece is 50 naira, so 4 times 50 naira is 200. Okay, then when we double the use of this from 4, okay, that means we have 8. Then 8 multiplied by 50 naira is also 400 naira. Alright, and then the output, when we were using 2 units of our input, the 2 of them, 10. And when we double them to 4, we have 25. And when we double from 4 to 8, we have 55. So what do we observe? We observe that here to here is a doubling, but this quantity is more than a double. Okay, so the double of 10 is 20. Alright, but then we have 25 here, so which means output is increasing faster than the way inputs are increasing. Alright, so when we move from here to here, it's another double. Okay, another doubling. Okay, so 25, when we multiply 25 by 2, we also have 50. But here we have 55, which simply means that this is also growing faster than the rate at which the inputs are growing. So in this case, we have increasing returns. That is, our output is the way our output is increasing is faster than the way the inputs are increasing, or the way our output are changing. The way our output is changing rather is faster than the rate at which or higher than the rate at which the inputs are changing. All right, so then we calculate the average cost. So average cost here, 100 divided by 10 is 10. 200 divided by 25 is 8. 400 divided by 55 is 7. Alright, so what then we observe? We observe that the average cost is decreasing. Then look at the total product. Total product is increasing. Alright, so that is to tell us that this particular portion of the long run average, okay, let me name it LRAC. Okay, so this particular portion, okay, all of this is simply increasing returns to scale. All right, simply increasing returns to scale. So that's that about that. Then let's move into what happens at this region. Okay, in this case, what then do we have? Look at it. Okay, the inputs are still the same. It's still the same table, just a little adjustments to fix what we are trying to explain. So we said we have 248 here. Okay, this increased by 100%. Then from here to here by 100%. Then look at the output. Okay, output increase from 10 to 20. That's a 100% increase. From 20 to 40 as well. That's another 100% increase. Okay, total cost keeps increasing, of course. All right. As we are employing more of the inputs. Okay, so now let's do the division. TC divided by Q. Okay, the first one, our average cost is 10. 20 divided by 20, average cost is still 10. And 400 divided by 40, average cost is still 10. So that's to tell us that on the portion of the long run, on this portion of the long run average cost curve, okay, what is here is the constant returns to scale. So what's happening there is constant returns to scale. So now it remains this other region. So want to know what's happening there. The very last table is where we have this, okay, which represents the decreasing returns to scale. So how do we know that? Okay, still the same thing. The doubling of our inputs, okay, doubling of total cost, of course, all of this. Okay, so we have 2 here, okay, output is 10. Then when we doubled the use of our inputs from 2 to 4, okay, output is 18. Okay, so when we multiply 10 by 2, okay, a doubling, that's 20. Alright, but then what we have is lower than 20, which simply means that there is output is not rising as fast as all of our inputs are rising. Alright, so when this is doubled from 4 to 8, okay, we expect that this should at least be equal to 36. Okay, that is 18 multiplied by 2, 36. But then what do we have? Output is only changing by, figure of 9. Okay, is it 9? 7, okay, by 7. So we have 25, from 18 to 25. Okay, cool. Then what is our average cost for each of them? Average cost, total cost here is what it is. Okay, so we have 100 divided by 10 now, which is 10. 200 divided by 18 is approximately 11. Then 400 divided by 25 is 16. So what then do we observe? Average cost is rising from 10 to 11 to 16. So all of these points of the long run average cost is caused by decreasing returns to scale. So decreasing returns to scale increases the average cost of production in the long run. So it is responsible for the upward sloping parts, okay, of the long run average cost curve. All right. So in spite of the fact that there is a decreasing returns and an increase in average cost, so look at what is happening to that product. Okay, Q. Look at it. It is increasing from 10 to 18 to 25. So output is increasing. All right. So in the 3 cases, the output happens to be increasing. So please do not make that mistake anymore in your exams or in your discussions and so on and so forth. So thank you very much for watching. This is the very end of this class. If you like the video, if you enjoyed the video, please click the like button and share with your friends. Don't enjoy it alone. Share with your friends and please subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos. See you next time.